Semis under pressure today. The SMH ETF is down more than 3%, led lower by Nvidia. AMD is also in the red, and that name is reporting earnings tonight in overtime. Joining me now, Stacey Rasgon, Bernstein Research Senior Analyst. Welcome back. It's nice to see you.
Good to be here.
It's funny, there's a lot that matters in this report, but even you suggest that all that probably will matter to investors is the AI story.
Yeah, that's probably going to be top of mind for most investors. That seems to be for AMD what they've cared about. Frankly, it's what's really, I know the stock is down off the peak, but if you look over the last year or two, it's still up quite a bit. Numbers have actually mostly come down for them over that period. The whole thing that's been supporting the stock has been increasing expectations for that AI story, and I do think that's where investors are going to be focusing their attention tonight.
Okay, well, what's most important to watch as it relates to that?
I mean, it's the guide for their MI300 business, and they've been sort of ticking it up through the year. They went from, I can't remember, $2 billion to $3.5 billion. Now the guide is $4 billion. I'd say expectations have gotten even higher than that. I think expectations for most of my clients have been in the $5 to $6 billion range. Maybe given the drawdown in the stock, maybe they're a little lower now, 4.5 to 5, but they clearly need to take that guidance for the year up. I think if they don't take it up, nothing else is going to matter, regardless of what happens in the rest of the business.
It's not every day that the stock market intersects with the political arena in such a tantalizing way. The 2024 U.S. presidential election race, featuring Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, is poised to be more than just a forward-looking referendum for the American people. It could very well send shockwaves through some of the most iconic stocks of the technology sector. To be glass clear, we are talking about Tesla, Nvidia, and Meta platforms. What makes this election cycle particularly arresting is how the outcome may dramatically shift the fortunes of these tech giants. But first, if you want to keep up with Nvidia, Tesla, and Meta's latest updates, and keep up with the stock market's latest news, you can follow our Twitter account. We post multiple times daily about the biggest changes and catalysts in the market, so click the follow button if you don't want to miss the newest market updates. Now, back to today's video.
How much of AMD's issues, I mean, if you even want to use that word, and maybe I'm wrong to use it, is simply the fact that it's not Nvidia?
People have been looking at AMD as a second source. There's a view that, Nvidia is clearly fairly dominant in what they do, and the market needs a second source, and it's a big market in theory. People have been throwing out numbers, that it's hundreds of billions of dollars, which actually is not implausible, but the idea that they can get a relatively small piece of a very big market that could drive a lot of upside, and I think that thesis on its surface makes sense. I think the issue such it is, and again, I always say this, I don't want to knock AMD for what they are. I mean, they're doing, even if they do $4 billion this year, it was zero a year ago, okay? So that's objectively by itself, that's quite the accomplishment. But in the grand scheme of things, frankly, it's kind of a rounding error given the magnitude of what we're seeing from their competitors. And if you're looking at sort of, especially as you're going forward, you're looking at the competitive roadmaps between the two, it's getting tougher, not easier. I mean, right now is probably the best position competitively that AMD is going to be in if we're looking at what their competitors have next year. And again, if they can't significantly upside in that environment, like how do you do it as the competitive environment gets tougher, as the roadmaps continue to evolve? So I think that's the issue. It's not that they're doing anything wrong. I'm actually kind of impressed with what they've been able to do with what they have over the last year or two. But given what they're up against, it's just a tough fight. That's all.
The stock market has a knack for throwing curveballs, and in 2024, the impending presidential election has become the ultimate wild card. This could make or break the performance of key tech stocks. Cue the spotlight on Tesla, Nvidia, and Meta platforms. Undeniably, America's beacon in the electric vehicle, EV sector, has faced a tumultuous 2024. First quarter results portrayed a less than stellar sales picture, missing Wall Street's estimates by 14% with 38,810 vehicles delivered. This marked its first sales miss since 2020, almost as shocking as seeing a unicorn in your backyard. But it didn't stop there. The second quarter wasn't rosy either, with delivery declines and profits falling for the third consecutive quarter, despite revenue ticking up to $25.5 billion. If the presidential race propels Trump back into the Oval Office, Tesla might find itself navigating stormy waters. The former president's vow to cut back on EV subsidies could cool consumer interest. Who needs a subsidized Model S when you can buy a gas-guzzling Hummer, right? The potential entry of Chinese EV factories into the US adds another spicy layer to this already sizzling narrative. Imagine the fiercely loyal Tesla community pivoting to more affordable, perhaps even more advanced cars made by Chinese competitors. The market is less forgiving than a social media troll. One misstep, and we'll see Tesla stocks nosedive faster than you can say Elon Musk. Now, what about Nvidia and Meta? Let's find out. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Investocracy.
It almost, you sort of make my point of the question that I asked you, right? They're doing all these things, and yet the stock's down 7% year to date. It's down 15% over a month. They theoretically have a good story to tell with a good storyteller at the top, and yet it's not Nvidia.
It's look, even Nvidia and lots of the other AI names are down recently. So like the whole, I don't want to say the shine's coming off the AI story. I'm still very bullish, like on AI stories in general, but certainly, you know, that whole narrative has come under some pressure. AMD's also been hit by some more company-specific stuff. There's been some speculation of some of the issues, some potential technology issues with like the high bandwidth memory on their parts, and maybe some order pushouts or order cuts, which have impacted the stock, I think, more recently. And again, I think as people are doing the comparison on the roadmaps, again, people are starting to realize it's just tough. And then you look at where the expectations are. Like, again, you got to remember, this is a company where numbers overall for them have come down every single quarter for the last like 2 years, right? So it's not even like you've got a fundamental, you know, backstop to help things. Like all of the stock performance has been multiple expansion as numbers have come down. We're now at the point where AI actually now starts to need to drive upside to numbers, and expectations are already high. And if you can't drive upside to those expectations, like you may have an issue.
Nvidia, the lifeblood of the burgeoning AI industry, Nvidia's stock price surged an astronomical 147.6% for the year. This follows an unreal climb of 239% in 2023. Nvidia's advanced GPU accelerators have found unprecedented demand, driving its share price to dizzying heights. Yet, geopolitical tensions have always had a knack for raining on the parade. As US-China trade tensions increase, tougher export controls could further curtail Nvidia's market reach. China used to be a significant market for Nvidia. New trade restrictions already startled the chip industry, which saw steep declines last week. A Trump presidency could amplify these issues, especially since the former president is known for his tough stance on China. For Nvidia, it's akin to navigating a minefield. One wrong step, and it may find itself unable to sell even less sophisticated chips to China. This isn't just bad news for Nvidia, but also a golden opportunity for China to bolster its domestic chip sector, making it even more self-reliant and resilient. And let's face it, competing with a billion-strong nation of tech-savvy consumers isn't a cakewalk. Additionally, Meta Platforms, the social media behemoth led by Mark Zuckerberg. Meta's relationship with Donald Trump is as rocky as a B-rated soap opera. Banned from Facebook following the Capitol riot in January 2021, Trump subsequently founded Truth Social, turning a political setback into a media outlet. Meta eventually reinstated Trump's account, but the damage and the resentment remained. If Trump reclaims the presidency, Meta could face further antagonism. The rise of Truth Social as a competitor adds another layer of complexity. Trump may very well leverage his renewed political clout to push his platform, diverting traffic away from Meta's already strained ecosystem. In today's volatile market, even a subtle shift in user engagement can send stock prices plummeting. While Meta isn't likely to shutter its digital doors, the tension could impact its market valuation, dicing up Zuckerberg's metaverse dreams. So how would this affect the stock of the three firms? Let's find out. But first, if you made it this far into the video, thank you. These videos take a lot of effort and time to make, so if you enjoyed them, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. This goes a long way in helping us grow. That said, back to the video.
Dan, did it scare you a little bit? I've read your notes. Did it really scare you a little bit last week to see what happened with Alphabet and Tesla and their results?
I mean, Dom, it didn't, because if I look at the underlying AI growth in cloud, specifically from Alphabet, that's bullish. And where's Tesla going to be spending? It's going to be on incremental AI. Look, I think there's going to be a big week for tech earnings. I mean, when you look at Amazon, Microsoft, Apple, Meta, this AI revolution, I think, is just starting. And that's why I continue to look at it as a get the popcorn out moment in terms of this tech bull market. This sell-off, I view it as a bump in the road, not the end.
In conclusion, the 2024 presidential election isn't just a political event. It's a significant market force that could either uplift or unravel big tech stocks like Tesla, Nvidia, and Meta platforms. Despite Tesla's revenue uptick to $25.5 billion, its declining profits and delivery issues spell tempestuous times ahead, especially with potential policy changes looming. Nvidia's stellar stock performance, driven by a 147.6% rise, could falter under augmented trade barriers, risking a future where China's domestic chip industry overshadows Western technology. As for Meta, renewed political hostilities could further shift user engagement to alternative platforms like Truth Social, impacting its valuation and growth trajectories. However, these tumultuous waves can also present unique investment opportunities. Tesla, Nvidia, and Meta remain juggernauts in their respective fields. Temporary setbacks can mean buying opportunities. For Tesla, advancements in battery technology and expansion into new markets could mitigate short-term hiccups. Nvidia's continued dominance in the AI sector offers long-term growth prospects, albeit with geopolitical nuances. Meta's ambitious journey into the metaverse could redefine digital interaction, making it a long-term bet despite its social media challenges. The current state of these stocks is shaped heavily by unprecedented demand for technological innovations, from EVs to AI and social media. While geopolitical and economic factors will influence their paths, their intrinsic value as leaders in innovation makes them hard to ignore. As always, it's wise to consider these factors and perhaps consult with a financial advisor before making any investment decisions. But what are your thoughts on the influence of the upcoming presidential election on big tech? How do you foresee the political landscape shaping the future of these stocks? Join the conversation and share your insights below. Maintaining the delicate balance of professional analysis and approachable dialogue, the dynamic landscape of politics and stock markets offers endless avenues for discussion and, of course, investment prospects. Finally, if you would like to know what companies like Nvidia, Tesla, and Meta have been up to these past few days, go ahead and click on the next video on your screen. See you there.